mouth be acceptable in your sight, as I offer what it means to be your hands and your feet in the world. On the surface, Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. Is the ending of what is known as the Great Commission. This marks the transition from when the 12 move from being disciples, also known as students, to becoming apostles, which is also known as the sent ones. The 12 were thought to be the common people within the ancient world. They were not the scholars. They doubted, and they had ears. But God partners with those of us that are the ordinary to foster a greater sense of spiritual growth, which is known as patience, humility, and love. What this means in a nutshell is that God equips the called, but he does not call the equipped. The sending out does not only happen within the New Testament, but the Old Testament as well. In Exodus chapter 4, verse 10, God puts forth the argument to Moses that Moses should free God's people. But Moses says no, because Moses is slow of speech and slow of tongue. But in But in the next verse, God reminds Moses that it was the Lord that made his mouth. And in verse 12, God gives the promise to Moses that if Moses becomes a sent one, that he will teach him what to say. Now, the story of Moses has personal significance for me, because, like Moses, I too am slow of speech and slow of tongue. This can also be interpreted as a stutter. When I first studied Moses' story, when I was in high school, God planted the seed that maybe one day, I too might be able to move from being a student at Jesus, at the feet of Jesus, to becoming a sent one. And after many years of study, that happened. This coming year, January of 2026, when God wanted me to leave my comfort zone of the pew and move to the pulpit. But in my case, my pulpit is a chair, and I have two wonderful worship companions in Sam Jack and my Suro dad, Jim. And God made the same promise to me that he made to Moses, that if he gave me what to say, then I could say it. And I believe he has, and I hope that my Grace Lutheran family does too. In closing, I would like to offer a contemporary metaphor for the divine assurance. This is Lerner and Lowe's, a classic musical rigadoon, which was my birthday gift from Darren last Saturday. The story tells of a village in the Scottish Highlands that only appears for one day every 100 years to act as a sanctuary for the outside world. Jesus was the apostles of Brigadoon, because whatever challenges they faced when they went out, he would be with them until the end of the age. To quote our learner, when we love deeply enough, anything is possible. And I pray it be so. And all God's people said, Amen.